Game Night is presented by Power Business Technology, your locally owned and managed Toshiba copier dealer. Contact them at 844-POWER-BZ or visit them at powercopiers.com. Here's your host, Scott Marsh, alongside the high flyer, Henry Turner.
And a very pleasant good afternoon to you. Welcome into Game Night right here, Sacktown Sports 1140. Scott Marshall up the high flyer, Henry Turner. Kings in Phoenix tonight. They take on an 8-1 Suns team, but also a team that will be without Kevin Durant, maybe Yusuf Nurkic as well. We'll get into that throughout the next hour. We'll be with you until 4:30 today, getting you ready for Kings Live. Pre-game tip tonight in the Valley of the Sun, 5 o'clock. G-Man with the call. First of all, high flyer, your 49ers survived today. Did you see that game today? That was an incredible game.
You know what, Scott? Sometimes that's all it takes. You just have to survive.
No doubt.
You know, you survive to play another day.
I felt great for Jake Moody because if he had missed that fourth field goal and it had gone to overtime and hadn't gone the 49ers way, I don't even know if he'd be back on the plane from Tampa.
You think they'd have made him walk?
I think it would have been a long time home for him.
He'd have to find the I-5.
I tell you what, Purdy was amazing in that game. He is incredible.
You know, solid point. I mean, a solid quarterback, man. I mean, you know, it was such a big question mark about, you know, is Purdy the guy? Is he going to be the guy? Can he get the job done? He's been solid, man, ever since they put him in that position.
He has. He's been great. And Kittle today was just ridiculous how good he was. And one final thing, we'll get on Kings, but that play that Mayfield made was one of the best plays I've ever seen by a quarterback. Stiff arming Bosa for about 10 yards, throwing it downfield on fourth down and converting that play.
Looked very, very confident.
Unbelievable. I mean, the strength that took.
Another guy that, you know what, I'm going to make this play regardless to what happens.
Yes.
You know, I'm going to hold you off just long enough for me to get this ball off.
No doubt. And Baker Mayfield, he couldn't hit the easy 2-yard out, but I mean, that play alone was just remarkable. All right, we'll be quiet about that. Our Niners are 5-4 coming back home. They get the win. I was trying to delay talking about Friday night and what happened to the Kings at home against the Clippers, or what didn't happen, because no threes went down in their 9-point loss, 106-97. One of the top 5 worst 3-point shooting efforts from the Kings in the Sacramento era. I know it's 9 games, okay, and I know it's what everybody's talking about. A trend doesn't make a season, but it is mystifying to me just how bad their 3-point shooting has been.
I mean, you know, Scott, we talked about this the other night, and I'm trying to find a silver lining in all of this. Yeah. You know, because I'm like, okay, the Kings are 500 right now, 4-4, right?
Yep.
They haven't shot the ball well. Even during preseason, they shot the ball abysmal from 3. Yep. But that just goes to show that they're still finding ways to win a basketball game without having to just shoot lights out. I'm happy about that part. But the part that scares me is that your number one attribute, your number one go-to, your number one gun hasn't showed up for you. So, you know, and I'm not willing to pull the plug and say the Kings aren't a good three-point shooting basketball team. I'm not willing to do that yet. But I'm right there on the line saying, you know, are we overvaluing our three-point potency for this basketball club?
Well, no question. And again, if you take away the 3-point shot, they were 34 of 52 from the field. I mean, that's like historic numbers in terms of field goal percentage, right around 70%. They were 21 of 24 from the line. That's outstanding, right? So all of that is great. But as we kind of work in this modern world of the NBA that seemingly is more and more about the 3-point shot, you can't overcome, even with those numbers, right, shooting 3 of 26.
Oh, no doubt. I mean, if you're not shooting the 3-point shot at a very high clip in the league, you're nothing. I mean, that's just the way the league goes. And, you know, I know a lot of people are questioning this. They're like, well, you know, I thought we brought DeRozan here to really, you know, circumvent the Kings offense. Well, DeMar is. You know, I'm not saying he's the reason why the 3-point shooting is low, but DeMar doesn't shoot a lot of 3-pointers, and he's a mid-range game guy. He's getting his mid-range in, and he's working the free throw line. But when you look at the 3-point percentage, you're like, well, we had a better percentage with Harrison Barnes. Well, yeah, Harrison shot more threes than D, but Harrison wasn't giving you nothing on the other end. He wasn't giving you nothing in the 2-point category. So DeMar Rosen is still an upgrade from what we had last year.
I don't think there's any question about that part of it. And again, DeRozan has been great in terms of the production, although he only had 13. That's one of his subpar 20-point games. In fact, his first after breaking the Kings record for most consecutive 20-point games to start the year with 20 plus. I don't think he's the reason per se, but the one thing too, and I know you're big on it. It takes 20 to 25 games to really kind of figure things out. That's something we've talked about many years on this show. We're not even at that midway point yet, so it's early. But the one thing I'm starting to wonder is just the combination of players. When you have a Sabonis who is obviously all NBA and just an incredible player, but he's a unique player to play around because you really can't play another big with him where it takes a very special big. And then you have a DeRozan who is a very special player too. He is Mr. Mid-range. He's a guy who needs the ball. He's going to be high volume in the mid-range. I'm just wondering how all these individual pieces are going to come together collectively.
You know, I've watched him and I had a chance to study him, Scott. What I really think the Kings' problem is that they've slowed the game down. You know, they're not getting steals. They're not getting deflections. They're not getting out in transition. And when we start talking about 3-point shots, well, the Kings get most of that in transition, driving into the paint, being able to spray out for three. The Kings haven't been able to do that. And so, you know, now they're playing a more so half-court game, and they're walking the ball up. I think that's more of the problem than anything else. I don't care if even the opposition scores the basketball. You can still take that ball out the rim, out the net, step out, push it in the De'Aaron Fox, and he blow past half the defenders and still be able to play an up-tempo style game. I just think that the Kings are really electing to just walk up and then try to run the free flow offense, which is okay, Scott. Yeah. But I don't think that's going to equate to a playoff bound team as far as them guys trying to make it to the playoffs.
Yeah, no doubt. And if you listen to Mike Brown in the post-game press conference, which I know you did, Mike Brown's not concerned about the misses. He's concerned about the number of shots, only putting up 26. He's like, there were at least 5 to 10 more opportunities in that game. We should have put up 35 threes. Our team is being too hesitant. And as Mike Brown loves to say, let it fly.
And, and I don't think they're being hesitant, Scott. I think it's more so of a lot of the shots aren't there. A lot of the guys, like I said, you don't have the breakdown to where, guys have to rotate over and stop the layup to where you can spray out for three and he's got a wide open three. A lot of the threes that the Kings are taking are contested threes. That's why a lot of guys elected, maybe not shoot this one, put it on the ground and dribble, trying to find a spray three, but they're not there in that half-court offense.
Yeah, no, it's an interesting dynamic. And, of course, right now, Keegan Murray, who was all-world in his first year shooting the threes, he's really struggled.
Not just Keegan. You know what's really, really hurting this team? And a lot of people are looking past it, but the offensive production of Trey Lyles. That first year, Trey Lyles shot the ball very well from the perimeter. And when we were able to go to that small ball lineup, that worked well because he was that pick and pop guy. And most 7-footers didn't want to run out there and guard him, Scott.
Yeah. So
now what we have is Trey Lyles is knocking that shot down. Now, they do look different when they go to that small ball lineup. They have put Trey at the 5. Yeah. They put DeMar at the 4 or Keegan at the 4, whichever one was in there, and they surround them with a bunch of guards. I would have thought that lineup would really speed things up and get up and down the floor when they go to that matchup zone. But once again, they're taking the ball out the net, so they're not being able to get up and down like they're supposed to.
Yeah, no doubt. And to your point, Trey only played 6 minutes on Friday night.
Because Trey is struggling to hit shots. Yeah. And you know what? And I will give him the benefit of the doubt. I don't think Trey is in the best shape right now. I think he's still trying to play his way into shape.
And that's fair. Obviously, he missed the entire preseason.
Right.
And it's tough to catch up on the fly. I know it's been 9 games, but still, it's not like you automatically just get NBA shape back.
You don't, Scott. And you have to think about this. Once game starts, you're not putting in too much practice. and you're definitely not putting in get in shape practice. Okay, you're at shoot around, you're at practice, you're going over schemes, you're going over film, but and then some players got to put in just a little bit more extra. You really, really have to get in there and get your leg work done, get your footwork done. I don't see, and I know they don't have to because the practice facilities are so much more extravagant than what we had back in the day. But I know this: we would have guys that would come in, Scott, and would try to basically play their way into shape. But before games, they was running the stairs.
Yeah, right.
I mean, how many times did you do your start your show off and you see guys running up and down the street? Like, why are they running up and down the stairs? Well, you need a little extra. You got to get yourself into shape.
No doubt. And obviously in today's world of the NBA, you just can't get in shape like that. You
can do it, but it's a little different because everything that you do is over there in that practice facility.
For sure. All right. If you want to join the program, you certainly can. Give us a call at 916-339-1140. We'd love to hear from you. We'll take your text as well. We're up and running in the YouTube chat as well. We would love to hear from you. We'll get the conversation going there as well. Before we go to the break, just your thoughts on what you saw from the clips.
I was defensively nice. Defensively, what Ty Lue got going is he has a bunch of veteran guys that have had the chance to play basketball at a very high level and has been on some very good teams. Now, a bunch of them weren't the 1-2 guys on the team, but they played on a very good organization and they know how to play team defense. Team defense wise, they are on the string. Yeah. I mean, every rotation they made was nice, as far as picking guys up and, stunting and getting back to their man. They had all of that down. Defensively, they were good. Offensively, they're still struggling to find pieces, but their pieces are getting it done. Norman Powell has been coming out playing just lights out.
Great.
He's been lights out for Clippers, but Norman Powell has always been that guy, but he's always played behind a Hall of Famer, so, for him to be able to come out of his shell and be able to be that number one guy, he's definitely picked it up. James Harden is James Harden. My thing is, how long is James Harden going to stay engaged? Because we know James Harden will check out. He checked out of Houston. He checked out of Philly. He checked out of Brooklyn.
True.
So, the thing with him is how long is he going to be engaged to try to make that team go?
Well, he's checked out of a lot of places, but he checked into the top 20 all-time NBA scoring list this week as well. Number 19 now.
Now, we know he's put in some work. The dude could score. Yeah. He could definitely do that. And, and with the unorthodox style of James Harden, first of all, him being a lefty, his size, he's very strong, and he uses his body to his advantage very, very well. I mean, his basketball IQ, he will catch you with your hand in the cookie jar. If your hand is the position right, he's going to be able to create contact and draw the foul and try to get to the free throw line. And he shoots a very high clip once he gets to the line.
He does indeed. And, whatever you think about James Harden, and a lot of people think a lot of different things, the man can still score the basketball, and he is still a big piece of what they're doing in LA. There's no doubt.
I mean, I hate his game, Scott. I hate it. I hate watching it because it's boring, but just because I hate it don't mean that I don't respect it.
Yep.
Because he's been able to play at a very high level with that ugly game. But then again, the catch-22 of his game is that if he isn't getting it done by himself, he can definitely kill you out of a game. He can shoot you out of a game.
No doubt. All right. We've got to get to a break. Again, if you want to join us in the YouTube chat room, we'll have a good discussion going on there. Doug, hang on, and everybody else calling in at 916-339-1140. I promise we'll get to your phone calls after the break as well. This is game night. It's the Kings and the Suns coming your way at 5 o'clock today. Game night is always brought to you by the Big Brothers and Big Sisters of Sacramento. They are looking for volunteer mentors. For just a few hours a month, you can impact the life of a child. And what greater cause is there than that? Call 916-646-9300 or visit bbbs-sac.org to learn more. More of Game Night right here, Sacktown Sports 1140.
All right. We are live on YouTube. It's good to have everybody back again.
Kyle, how are you, my friend?
I'm doing well.
It's been a crazy week. Yeah, but Henry and I haven't even done a show for like a year.
I know, right? It's been
great for Henry.
10 days or so. 10 days without Scott here.
Hey, Scott, but now jet setting again, man. I'm telling you.
Yeah, jet setting to Seattle to Moscow, Idaho, to a 4-hour drive from Moscow, Idaho to Missoula, Montana. That's jet setting.
How was the drive, Scott?
I will tell you what, it is a beautiful part of the country. Have you been up in that area or not?
Not
okay,
too much.
This is how remote it is. If you look on a map, Moscow, Idaho is right on the Washington border. The two cities, Pullman, Washington, where Washington State is, and where University of Idaho is, where UC Davis basketball played, they're 8 miles apart across the state line. Now, if you look at Missoula, Montana, which is a little south and east of Moscow, Idaho, if you drew a direct line, it'd be 144 miles. So you think, okay, it's going to be a 2-hour drive to get from Moscow to Missoula on Friday. This will be great. No, it's a 4-hour and 15-minute drive that takes 318 miles to get there because there's no roads that get anywhere near the two cities. So you're literally doing a boomerang up to seemingly the Arctic where there was snow everywhere. And I'm glad it wasn't snowing because we didn't have chains and we weren't prepared for it. And then you kind of come automatically down on this route and you're going through this dry desert area seemingly forever. But
so you taking every cow path and turtle turtle trek you can find to get there.
Yes, it's a part of the country that I've never experienced. It was cool. It was fun. It was just a lot longer than I thought it would be. Yeah. And then we got home 4:00 yesterday or today, actually, because the Davis football game, the Aggies won on national TV, beat Montana last night, 9-1, fourth in the country. We're rolling. That game got over Mountain Time at 12:15.
Wow.
So we got on our plane just after 2:15 in the morning. It's an hour and 48-minute flight back home. Got at my house at 4:04 in the morning.
So basically what you're saying is you've been working.
I've been working. And I wouldn't call it jet setting necessarily, but it's all been great. It's good cause. All right, let's talk some Kings. Kyle, what do we got going on?
Well, okay, so you guys were talking about 3-point struggles this year and how as they're figuring things out, the pace is kind of slowed down. That's what Henry was talking about. Is that 2 years ago it was pace. Mike Brown just kept saying pace, and now they've slowed things down a bit. And I don't know. You mentioned Trey Lyles. He's at 22% right now, and that might be an in shape thing. Or Keegan Murray's at 28% from three right now. Malik Monk's at 28% from three. It feels like it's different for each guy right now, but then the end result is everyone's struggling from three, and the Kings as a team are one of the worst 3-point shooting teams in the league. I can't seem to, maybe you guys can. I don't really feel like there's a through line of like why the Kings are playing so badly or shooting so badly from three. Feels like it's a different case for each player.
I would agree with that. I don't know if I can find one common theme to it at all. I think it is interesting, and I'm not sure you agreed with it, but Mike Brown he thinks the team's really hesitant, and what they're doing is taking tougher twos than easier threes.
Well, let's talk about this. We're not talking about twos. We're talking about why they're shooting so bad from three. All right.
Yep.
I just think the team is just shooting bad. I mean, you really can't point it to one specific thing for all the players. The one specific thing is they're not shooting well. That's it.
Yeah. It might just be that simple. It might just be that. And if things were to even out, we could expect maybe a 50 or 60% night, maybe 20 plus. I know we're coming back on the air.
Yeah, for sure.
Welcome back into Game Night right here, Sacktown Sports 1140. Appreciate everybody in our chat room. Good conversation going on there. Henry, I didn't even acknowledge, but it's seemingly the first time we've done a game night together in over a week. I've been gone a while. I know it's been great for you. Now you're back in your normal place with me. I apologize for that, but we're back having some fun on the Sunday afternoon.
Whenever, man, we get the chance to talk NBA basketball and then watch NBA basketball, it's a good day for me.
Yes. It doesn't matter who the co-host is. Like, just the fact we could talk NBA basketball is great, but it is great to be back with you, Henry. I've missed our shows this past week.
Oh, I'm glad you miss home. That's good.
Yes.
But now you can come home and get a little home cooking.
Time to get some home cooking. All right. Speaking of some home cooking, let's get to the line. Doug, how are you, my friend? Thanks for calling in the Game Night on a Sunday afternoon.
Gentlemen, I'm doing wonderful. I thought the last game was not a really good sign of really who we are. And this is something that I talk about all the time while I'm watching the game. And it's like, Why do I have Sabonis bringing the ball up? Because they're talking about getting up the court in transition. I always worry that, hey, tell you what, Fox, you want to go get some easy baskets? As soon as a rebound comes off, you get the ball to your quickest guy, one of the quickest guys in the league, and give it up. Now, Sabonis, go underneath the basket. We have an advantage, especially if they're running hard. Then Fox will find you, and if not, he'll create the space and stuff. So if he misses that, you can get a putback. That's one. The other thing that happened in the last game is that if I've got a guy who's averaging 25 points a game, and they don't get to him, he's got 3 points at halftime, they don't get to him till the fourth quarter, something's wrong there. And I don't want guys that go in that are they come in and play hero ball and they're trying to make shots and stuff, but it's like you got a guy who's averaging 25 and he's wonderful inside the 3-point line. What happened when he started getting the ball? He started making shots, and we make a run. We were down, 11 or 14 or something.
Down 16 at one point.
Yeah.
No, but they were down
that's
16.
That's all I have.
Okay.
Those are my 2 points. If I was doing it different, I'd say, hey, Fox, give up the ball, get the assist. We get the win. You can get out and run, and then get the ball in bonus hands and put them near the basket. Have a great call the rest of the show here, and go Kings.
Hey, Doug, thank you. That was a great call. Appreciate that. Your thoughts on what Doug had to say?
Scott, I've always thought that De'Aaron should have the ball in his hands and really push the ball more. I mean, Sabonis has been so good at getting the ball off the rebound and initiating the fast break. But when you have a guy like a Zubats that's guarding Sabonis, I'd much rather have De'Aaron with the ball in his hands, pushing it, Sabonis not having to worry about handling the ball, just outrun Zubats in a foot race. Yeah. If you put both of those guys at the baseline and say, go,
lights out,
who are you going to pick that's going to get to the basket first?
Yeah.
So I do understand what the caller is saying. And then again, too, on a lot of our fast break situations, once again, Sabonis has the ball in his hands, and all we have, Scott, is to spray threes to the corner.
Yeah.
Well, if you put the ball in De'Aaron's hands with Sabonis running, you'll still have spray threes with Monk and Herter or Keegan, whoever else is on the floor. And then you got another option of driving to the basket and dish also. So it gives you an A, B, and a C option, just not having an A on each side of the floor.
Yeah, no, those are good points. One thing Mike Brown talked about, just like letting it fly and spray threes going into this year, was sprints to the corner and how they're tracking that and everything else. I'm just wondering, have you noticed that this much? Is that been something that has been unique? Has it affected anything? Do you feel like the team has been able to embrace that like the coaches wanted to?
What's that, as far as just
sprint to the corners on the threes? I mean, he made that such a huge thing in the preseason. I don't know if I've really noticed that or not.
Well, Scott, you can sprint to the corner all you want, but if your guy is standing there with you, that really gives you a limited option. That sprint to the corner only works is when you got a guy that has the basketball that can break his guy down, drive to the middle to where help has to come, and then you spray to the corner, right?
Yep.
And the corner catches, he either lets it go, and if the guy comes out and contests, pump fake and dribble around and get the other spray. But if you don't have that number one initial guy that drives, well, I'm just standing right next to you. How can you catch and shoot?
Yeah. Nope. Those are all good points. And, again, it'll be interesting. It's going to take some time for all of this to come together. And I think it's a different brand of Kings basketball. We're not used to the Kings getting to the line so often.
And that's a plus.
It is a plus.
That is a plus.
But it slows down the game.
It slows down the game, Scott, but that's the reason why we're 4-4. I guarantee you.
And we're 5-4.
No, we're 4-4.
We got 5. Yeah, we're 5.
Are we 5-4?
We are 5-4.
Okay. Yeah. No, we're 5-3. That's right. We lost last time.
Yeah.
We're 5-4.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you this. That is the main reason why we have 5 wins. If the Kings were shooting the basketball from the free throw line on an average of 69 to 70%, like we did last year, we probably would only be 2 in the winning column.
Yep. Nope. Those are all good points. All right. When we come back, we'll go around the league, get you caught up on everything else going on, look at the other games today. We'll talk about this Phoenix Suns team. Boy, they've gotten off to a great start, but how will this be derailed with Kevin Durant out at least 2 weeks? A calf strain will be reevaluated in 2 weeks. Kevin Durant's a guy who's been playing at an MVP level, but seemingly has not been able to stay healthy. What does that mean for the Suns? We'll get into all of that and a lot more. It's game night. It's brought to you by Power Business Technology, longtime sponsors of game night. If you want to experience how the power of family can help you with all your business copying needs, these are the people you need to work with. Power Business Technology. Give them a call, 1-844-POWER-BZ, or go to powercopiers.com. More of game night right here. Stocktown Sports, 1140.
All right, we are live on YouTube. Well, Henry left. I had a question. He can join in a sec when he gets back. But if we're going to go around the league, there was one topic I wanted to talk about while I'm on the mic with you guys. Yep. I think this Milwaukee Bucks thing is done. I think, they're not going to be able to sort this thing out. If we're already having that conversation about will Giannis stay, will he not stay? I saw the Bucks release the report that said it's up to Giannis. They're not going to pursue a trade unless he wants it. And then you look at today with Giannis scoring 43 points against Boston, didn't get the win. They're now 2-8 on the season. Their starting lineup included Taurean Prince and Andre Jackson Jr. I don't think the Bucks are going to be able to sort this thing out. I think that the Bucks, as we know it, are pretty much signed, sealed, and delivered. It's just about cooked for them at this point.
Wow, that's a big time statement right there. Obviously, they've been terrible to start the year. For me, Henry, with the Bucks, I kind of almost put this in a situation with the Kings going back all the way to 2006, 2007. The Kings had the 8 straight season of playoff runs, all under Rick Adelman. Then they made the decision to get rid of Rick. And it just felt like that was kind of the first step of just the Kings franchise going in the wrong direction. Same thing with the Bucks. Fast forward, they're in the NBA Finals. They win a championship. They've got Mike Budenholzer, right? Everything is seemingly, the world is at their oyster. And then they don't succeed the following year. And all of a sudden, they're blowing out Mike Budenholzer as if he's a second-rate coach. And then from that step forward, it seems like every move that management's made has just made this club worse. And I know that's a big statement because they got Damian Lillard last year, one of the great players in the NBA, but it just wasn't the right move for that team.
Well, and let's put this out there, Scott. They pushed Bud out like it was his fault.
Right.
And yeah, rightfully so. The coach is the first one to take the blame, but you really have to understand what this coach brings to the dynamic. All right. Those guys believed in Coach Bud. Those guys bought in to the Bud system. That's why you were so successful. So when you look, Coach Bud's been gone, a year and a half?
Boy, yeah,
a year and a half. A year and a half. Yep. And look where Phoenix is right now.
Look where he's at. That was going to be my follow-up point.
Look where Phoenix is right now. Do you look at Phoenix and say, did we make the right decision?
Yeah.
Looks like no, if you ask me.
I would completely agree with that.
So here's the interesting part also is that Giannis wanted to keep around Chris Middleton and Brook Lopez. And now we're getting to the point where those guys are older. Middleton hasn't had a fully healthy season since the championship run, and they just don't really have any moves to make to build around them. And so you're seeing take a flyer on Taurean Prince, and now he's a starter. They're starting Andre Jackson Jr., a second-round pick. AJ Green got 27 minutes. He's an undrafted player. They're just trying to find bodies to put in there, and it's just I don't think they have any way to improve this roster at this point.
You know what? And I will say this. We talk about buying in. I bet you right now, Giannis ain't bought into Doc's system.
Right.
That's why he's crying and you hear the rumblings because he's not buying what Doc is selling. So when your number one guy is kind of like, he's pulling at the strings, everybody else is going to fall suit. Okay. Now Giannis is looking around saying, no, Middleton's struggling. Brooks gone. Drew is out the way. Bud is having success somewhere else. This ain't gonna work. I'm ready to go.
Yeah, it does feel like they're coming. I mean, are the Bucks a playoff team? Are they?
Right now, no.
No, they're not. I agree.
We got a few seconds left, but I'll just add it's been almost 900 days since Giannis himself won a playoff game, May of 2022.
Yeah, it's amazing how quickly that organization has fallen. All right, welcome back into Game Night right here, Sacktown Sports 1140. Good conversation on the Milwaukee Bucks in our YouTube chat during the break. If you want to join us, we got another half hour here. Give us a call, 916-339-1140. Scott Marsh, along with the High Flyer here. Kings and Suns tonight. And, of course, the big league news, no Kevin Durant, a calf strain that he suffered in that Dallas game. And what a game that was on Friday night, by the way. Seesaw back and forth. Controversial foul called with less than a second. Nurkic goes to the line, hits a free throw. They win the game. I thought it was the right call. It was just a fun game to watch.
It was very entertaining, Scott. But here's my question to you. Now, we know about Kevin Durant, the calf strains, and the Achilles pop.
Yes.
Is it the exact same calf, or is it the other one?
That's a great question. Anytime you hear the word calf with Kevin Durant, you have extreme concern.
And especially if it's the other one. Because he has the surgical repair on one of them. I don't know if it's right or left.
It's his left calf strain that is the problem right now.
And I think it was the right one before.
I believe that's right. Boy, I'd have.
Yeah, I believe it was the right one before.
Yeah.
So,
And if you're Kevin Durant,
you definitely shake it in your boots.
Right. And not only, your timeline is going to be extended way out.
But yeah, because you're wondering,
yes,
oh my God, exactly. I've been here before.
Yes.
We know this picture.
Yes. He was willing to come back for the NBA Finals. We're talking about November right now. So there's going to be no rush on Kevin Durant.
At all. But I will say this too, Scott.
Yeah.
We know how teams that supposedly have a big three.
Yep.
When you get relegated down to 2, that hurts.
Yep.
Because now you're not special. You're just like anybody else in the league.
Yeah.
Everybody who has that big 3 that wants to be a special ball club that's saying, okay, we're playoff bound or either championship or bust, has a big 3. When you get relegated down to 2, no, you're not. You're just a regular ball club.
No doubt. And in Kevin Durant's case, he was probably 1A, if not 1B, right next to Booker. And boy, what a start to the year he's had too.
Right. I mean, all of them together.
Yeah.
This is the first time we've had a chance to see
True.
Booker, Bill, and Kevin Durant on the floor at the same time.
Yeah.
And they have bought in to what, Bud is selling. They bought into his system.
Yep.
They're playing well, but all of a sudden you lose your 1A. I mean, I'm not saying that the Phoenix is going to fall apart, but I'll tell you what, you lose a lot when Kevin Durant ain't out there on the floor.
Oh, man, a lot doesn't even begin to describe it. And we'll get into the matchup with the Suns in just a little bit, kind of looking at some of the other news around the league. We know how special Wemby is. He had a game where he had 6 threes and 7 blocks. You talk about the all-around game, 6 threes and 7 blocks. Are you kidding me?
Well, seeing that the dude is long as train smoke, Scott,
Yeah.
I mean, he's the tallest player, pretty much to ever play in the league, right?
Yep.
And I know he's the longest player to ever play in the league. And, for him to be blocking shots, that's not a big deal. But for him to be able to knock down threes the way he is,
6 threes.
that's what makes him special.
No question. It put it in perspective. The Kings had 3 on Friday. Wemby by himself had 6.
Outshot the whole Kings team.
That hurts.
Yeah.
That hurts just a little bit. Injuries kind of making their way as part of the storyline in the NBA. John Morant, week to week with a hip injury. Zion Williamson, he's out indefinitely. How many times has this record played?
And, and he's in a position to where how long are they going to ride with him?
Yeah.
How long are they going to ride with him? Because, right now, Zion Williamson still is a upper tier player in this league.
Yeah.
But for what New Orleans want and what New Orleans needs, he's never on the floor for them. He's not at their disposal.
Yeah.
So at this particular time, do you get off the Zion Williamson bandwagon while you can get something for him? Because if he keeps being injured, no one's going to give you anything for him, and you're going to be stuck.
Exactly. And he's got the massive contract. So right now, the Pelicans are just a mess. I mean, with the slew of injuries and everything else.
CJ's down.
Yeah.
BI is in and out.
Yeah.
Zion is out.
They've been just decimated.
There's
a whole host of others.
What's the other little guard? Murray?
Yeah, DeJounte Murray broke his hand.
Yeah, DeJounte Murray, he's out.
Yeah, I know it.
So, yeah, I mean, they're the walking wounded right now.
They really are. All right, let's go around the league. As we talked about in our YouTube chat during the break, Bucks went down today to the Celtics 113-107. And just to kind of put it in perspective, it's not as simple as Drew Holiday's in Boston and Damian Lillard's in Milwaukee. But right now, the Celtics are NBA champions, defending their title. They're 9-2, and the Bucks are 2-8.
And you know what's scary, Scott, about the Boston Celtics? Porzingis isn't playing again.
Yeah.
He hasn't played yet. So, they're dominating right now. When you bring in the best fourth option player in the league and put him with your five, that just skyrockets your team value even higher.
Yeah, it does. There's no question. All right, the other final from today, the Rockets beat the Pistons 101-99. It's a busy night in the association. Other games right now, fourth quarter, Pacers leading the Knicks 100-98. It's the Magic over the Wizards 61-56. Game's about to get going. You've got the Hornets and the 76ers. And again, as bad as Milwaukee is, Philadelphia might be the bigger story with how bad they are. They're 1-7. Embiid is apparently going to play on Tuesday. Paul George is back. Maxey is out. They haven't won a game at home. Embiid's been suspended. Like, you can't even make up everything that's going on with the Sixers right now.
You can't. But, Scooter, I'm going to throw this back at you. I know I did it last year, but it's really going to be relevant this year. The changing of the guards in the NBA. We just got through talking about how long is Giannis going to make it in Milwaukee, and how long is Zion going to make it in New Orleans. We talk about James Harden with the Clippers. Now, the big fella with Philly. It's going to be some major shakeup in these all-star, quote unquote, all-stars, guys who have been holding this league down. It's going to be some major movement in the league.
There's no doubt. There is absolutely no doubt about that. All right, Timberwolves at home hosting the Heat. Good game tonight. Warriors and Thunder. You got Golden State at OKC. What a trip for the Warriors. They have to go to Boston. They beat the Celtics. Yes. They go to Cleveland. They get waxed.
Mollywopped.
Yeah, they got absolutely hammered by the Cavs, and now they've got OKC, so we'll see how they respond in that one. That's going to be fun to watch. Couple of things. Are the Warriors, quote unquote, for real at 7-2?
They're playing good ball.
Yeah.
They're playing good ball. I'll tell you what, the Golden State Warriors have a bunch of guys who can shoot the ball. And in this league, we talked about it with the Kings. If you have a bunch of guys that can lace it up from three, you will make yourself a very good basketball team. And then you sprinkle in one of the best all-around players in the league in Draymond Green, whether you like him or not. He's still one of the best all-around basketball players. And then you have a mega superstar in Steph. And then you sprinkle out a bunch of good three-point shooters. Yeah, you can win some basketball games. Is that going to take you all the way? Kind of yet to be seen, but it's going to keep you in the game.
It's been a fun start. All right, second follow-up on that. Are the Cavs the best team in the NBA? I mean, league record, they are. They're 10-0, so matter of fact they are, but in reality, are they?
No. I still give, you know me, Scooter.
Yep.
I'm going to give the champs the benefit of the doubt. Champs just lost a couple of games, all right? Cleveland will too, but I'll tell you what, Cleveland is for real. They're not a joke.
Yep.
They're not a fluke. They are for real. They have pretty much everything that it takes to be a good basketball team. I still have Boston as my number one out the East, but Cleveland's right there, number two. They are going to give Boston a run for their money. I will say this, Miami will be in the hunt. You're going to sprinkle around a little Indiana is going to be in the hunt. And then you throw New York in there. And then that's saying if Milwaukee don't get it right.
Yeah.
If Milwaukee gets it right, you throw them up there in the top 5 also.
Okay, fair enough. And then another really intriguing matchup tonight. You've got the Mavericks and the Nuggets. That'll be a fun game. How about Jay Kidd? He went off on the Mavs. I don't know if you saw it in the post-game press conference on Friday night. He wasn't concerned at all about how they lost. In the fourth quarter effort was fine. He was disgusted with the first quarter effort and the lack of anybody else playing besides Luka and Kyrie. He called out the entire team. He kind of deflected Clay a little bit, but everybody else, he says the effort's been abysmal, that they need to find somebody else who cares enough to want to play hard. They need to get off the better starts. He was sending a message in his post-game press conference.
Sounds good. I mean, you know what? Because at the end of the day, Scooter, we just talked about it. When the teams aren't playing well and you have your superstars, who's going to get blamed?
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be the coach.
Yeah.
And really, if it isn't the coach, it's all about the effort that you guys are giving. Well, I'm going to throw that out there because I'm giving everything I have.
Yeah. I hear you. All right. Raptors and Lakers tonight. AD leading the league, 32.5 points per game, 11 rebounds a contest.
AD is playing Herculean basketball. The one thing about AD, and we know this to be true, are the Lakers going to be able to keep him out of street clothes? Because that's the thing.
True.
He will give you everything that you can handle on a Saturday, and you won't see him Monday through Friday because he's hurt.
That is true. That is very true. All right, and rounding out the schedule, I saved this one for last. The Grizzlies at home in Portland to take on the Trailblazers. For those who are watching our YouTube, they can see I have a Portland Trailblazers shirt on. Normally, you wouldn't have that for game night following a Kings broadcast. But the very sad news for those who have not heard, the longtime broadcaster for the Blazers, Brian Wheeler, a dear friend of all of us here. He worked here at Sacramento Sports 1140. He was a member of the Kings broadcast as well for a couple of years. Passed away on Friday at the age of 62. I'm going to get into that more in the next break. We're going to go through our tribute for the great Brian Wheeler. But there will be a moment of silence tonight in Portland, and our hearts go out to all the Portland fans. He was the voice of that team for 21 years.
Wow.
Nobody brought it like wheels to a basketball game. He was one of a kind, and in my opinion, one of the great NBA radio broadcasters. And like I said, we'll get into that more in the next break. I have a lot more to say about that, as I know you do too, Henry. You had a chance to know Wheels as well, so we'll get into that. But we do need to take the break right now. Game night will be coming back, and when we do come back, we'll have the Gingery injury report for you, that and a lot more. It's game night right here, Sacktown Sports 1140.
All right. We are live on YouTube. That was very nice. I'm excited to hear your tribute for Brian.
So we're gonna leave a good 5 minutes. So just make sure you
of course
on that one. And anybody in the chat room who would like to share their Brian Wheeler memories, anybody who was listening to the station and got to hear Brian Wheeler with some great calls, we'd love to hear your memories of Brian Wheeler as well. He was only here for 2 years in Sacramento, but he left a lasting impact. And it's a sad weekend, Kyle. I'm not going to lie. I've been very down this entire weekend. The news has hit me hard.
Oh, absolutely.
I was one of his very best friends, and it's just sad.
Oh, absolutely. Sad. Yeah, I can hear it in your voice. There's a lot of emotion there, and it's not very raw. It's only been just about 48 hours since he passed away.
Absolutely. All right. What else do we have going on in our chat?
Real quick with the Suns tonight. I know we talk about the Kings having Fox and DeRozan and the fourth quarter play of the Kings, but the Suns have a pretty incredible stat that I don't think is being talked about enough. This season, when the Suns are trailing in the final 5 minutes of the game by 8 or fewer points, they're 7-0.
Well, and I don't mean to cut you off because that's an unbelievable stat. Mm-hmm. And if you compare it to last year, they were the worst fourth quarter team in the league. Mm-hmm. And Henry, I know what you're going to say the difference is, and I'm going to agree with you 100%. Has to do with a point guard in Phoenix. Guy named Tyus Jones.
You know what? And he's
a game changer.
I'm saying he changes the game for D-Book.
Yeah.
Because last year, Book had to have the ball in his hands almost 100% of the time. But Book is a 2. He's a scorer. you don't want to put your scorer in the position to where he has to facilitate. And Tyus Jones gives him that leeway to where all he has to do is worry about score. So now that gives you a yin to your yang. You got Kevin Durant that can score. You have Booker that can score. You have Bradley Beal that can score. And then when you have Tyus that comes in and helps run that basketball team, now you got 3 deadly weapons out there. And let's keep it 100. Tyus can score a little bit too.
Yeah. But, the reason, to your point, Kyle, they were such a lousy fourth quarter team. They couldn't get the ball to their guys, right? And it showed up. They turned it over. They were terrible in that regard. And now with a true point guard who distributes it to everybody else, I think that's why the stat is the way it is. Do you agree?
I would agree with that. I think he's probably one of the more underrated
without a
pickups.
Doubt.
But
we say that all the time.
He's also, he's top 20 in the league in assists right now, but he's also giving him 10 points a game too, which is higher than what he was giving in Memphis. So it's been a great start to the season.
It has.
For Tyus
Now,
Jones.
If you're a Phoenix fan, you just can't believe it now with Durant, and you're just starting to wonder, what's the season going to be? Because their big three played 6 games together all season long, it felt like.
And I know in Phoenix you got to be almost pulling your hair out because you finally get to start the season with them, and you start the season balling. You can't be touched, and all of a sudden now your number one guy goes down.
Yep, he does. All right, we're coming back to live. And Kyle, can you see if G-Man's there too? I might want to bring him up if he is for the final couple minutes.
Yeah, I'll let you know.
Thank you. Okay. Welcome back into Game Night right here, Sacktown Sports, 1140. Scott Marshall on with the High Flyer, Henry Turner. Game Night being brought to you by Mercedes-Benz of Stockton. Check out their full line of luxury vehicles at mbofstockton.com. All right, let's get to the injury report for tonight. It's always brought to you by the law firm of Gingery, Hammer, and Associates. If you've got an injury, just call Gingery. All right, for the Kings tonight, they remain pretty healthy for this one tonight. So we'll start with them as, again, Devin Carter, we know he's out with the shoulder. Orlando Robinson, haven't seen him with the knee. Hopefully he's coming back sooner than later. But the Suns, the big news, of course, is that no Kevin Durant tonight. He's going to be out with that calf strain. They'll have to figure a way to get the job done without their main guy. Nurkic also questionable with an ankle, so we'll see if he's able to go tonight. Henry, we're going to save some time so we can talk about our dear friend Brian Wheeler. Just your thoughts on tonight's game and the Kings without Kevin Durant. Obviously, it's a game changer.
Well, a situation to where the Kings face another team that's undermanned. But, you have to understand what type of scenario you're walking into now. All right, no Kevin Durant. You best believe D-Book and Bradley Beal are looking like, okay, we got to give a little bit extra to try to, compensate for Kevin not being here. So those guys are going to come out like gangbusters. So, to be able to go to Phoenix and come out with the win, you're going to have to play your A game.
Yeah, they are. And the Kings certainly have a chance to get to 6-4 as part of a back-to-back. They'll be in San Antonio tomorrow night. It'd be great to start this road trip with a big W.
Scooter, this basketball team has really showed me that being out on the road don't bother them. They're able to win on the road. I don't be, as jittery with them on the road as I do with them at home.
Exactly. Being at home seems to bother them.
That's crazy to say, but I feel more confident about this basketball team when they're on the road because they go out and they take care of business and they manifest wins.
All right. That's going to do it for our breakdown for the game in terms of our game night show. I wanted to save the last 5 minutes of our show as we talked about going into the break, a true loss for the basketball world, the NBA community, the Sacramento Kings community, as well as the Portland Trail Blazers, as Brian Wheeler passed away on Friday in the morning at the age of 62. 21 years with the Trail Blazers as a broadcaster. We got to know Wheels here in Sacramento. He came here in 1996 from Seattle. It was an opportunity for him to host a show at Sacktown Sports, but also be a part of the Kings broadcast. He was the Kings pre-half and post-game host, and used to host Wheels After Work here, memorable show. And the post-game show was done at the Skyline Lounge at Arco Arena.
I remember that.
A fan favorite there, and I got to be the guy to go out in the mic and get crowd responses and questions for Wheels. And we developed a great friendship, a lifetime friendship, Henry, that extended well beyond when he got his dream job to go to Portland and become the Trailblazers voice. He was the voice of the Trailblazers for 21 years before health prevented him from continuing on. He had to retire from that job in 2019, and then it's been a real tough health spell for him for the last 5 years, and unfortunately passing away on Friday. But he was memorable. He was epic. His calls, he was passionate. He was a guy that wore his heart on his sleeve, and he loved his Blazers. He loved his Kings when he was here. I'll never forget, he did a playoff game. It was the Kings Seattle game 2. And I believe G-Man was with auto racing. And so it was Jerry Reynolds and Brian Wheeler on the call, and they won up there in game 2, Mitch Richmond hitting a shot, and Brian Wheeler made the call. And that is arguably the biggest win in Sacramento Kings history. And Jerry Reynolds came in and goes, "It is, Wheels. It is."
Yeah.
It's just the excitement of that moment, right? And at that time, it was the first playoff win in Kings history.
Right. At that particular point, it was the biggest deal. It wasn't, no doubt.
Yeah. And of course, they didn't win that series, but just the excitement. And that's who Wheels was. He brought the passion, the excitement. Some of the most memorable NBA calls, your guy, Damian Lillard, when the playoff winners against Houston, the 40-footer to close out that series against the Rockets. Those are some of Wheels' finest calls that have just been tribute after tribute this week. And you listen to the Portland community mourning for this man because he was the heart and soul of the Blazers for over 2 decades.
And when you listen to him and, hear him on the broadcast, you understood how much passion he had for NBA basketball. Oh, no. I'm saying, as far as, his passion for the game, he definitely had it, and for a guy who has done it for that long, and NBA has been your life, and for us as broadcasters, we kind of have our life inside of the NBA life because, we all sit together.
It's a fraternity. It's a community.
We all do the exact same thing, and we see each other, year after year. So, Scooter, I know you was very, very close to Wheels, and he was a dear guy to your heart. So, my condolences goes out to you and the rest of the family, because I know there's a lot of people that's going to miss him.
Yes. And of course, Wheels and I bonded instantaneously because he's a huge Dodgers fan like myself. So at least he got to share in the Dodgers World Series win. And I know it doesn't mean a lot to some people in this community, but it was huge to him. And I was so happy that we got to share that together. And I know he's up there in heaven celebrating that, along with celebrating with the Kings and rooting for the best here from Sacramento. Even though he was in Portland, he still had so many friends here, and he considered Sacramento home. And I know there's a lot of people in our community who are mourning his loss, and we just want to again send our best out to the Portland community as well. I'm wearing the Boom Shakalaka shirt. That was his signature call after a
shakalaka.
Boom Shakalaka. Portland fans love that call. And I know they're playing it a lot tonight. There's going to be a moment of silence in Portland tonight.
Wasn't that in the video game NBA Jam?
Yeah.
Boom, shakalaka.
Yeah. Wheels, we love you. You left us too soon, but the impact you left will never be forgotten. And we just love you. And I don't know what else I can possibly say more than that. Our hearts are broken here. All right, that's going to do it for game night. And when we come back, it'll be Kings Live pregame. Jason Ross will be here with you, High Flyer. Always great to work with you. Great to see you again, my friend. And we'll get ready for the tip-off tonight. 5 o'clock, Kings in Phoenix. They'll take on the Suns for the first time this year. You'll hear all the action right here. Sacktown Sports, 1140.
Boom, shakalaka.
And guess what? Primetime football is back. Capital Casino is giving away $500 per game.